stress is at an all-time high, right? For everybody. How do you simplify life? There's social pressure, peer pressures, finding a purpose, and then you look at just the overall aspect of the world is divided, and divisiveness causes stress and anxiety. So it comes full circle. It comes full circle to this. How can we simplify our lives and live our deepest purpose and find happiness? Mm-hmm. Because I think back in year 2000, I was stressed. I was like, man, I loved what I was doing, but I was like, I had to pay the bills. Now it's a lot of stress right out there. It comes back to how can I serve more people? How can I laugh more? How can I love more? And how can I live more? If we can really focus on that and not get, so stressed out about everything, life's gonna be happier. Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show, and happy summer. Yeah, the dog days of summer upon us, and if there's ever an episode that's gonna wake you up, we got 5 awesome interns in front of us today. I'm so excited because you're gonna get to hear from them. It's open Q&A mic night here for the TD Impact Show, and they're looking at me with crazy faces, gonna ask me some deep questions. Y'all are looking like, oh, we're gonna get to TD here. So, folks, this is one of my favorite episodes because I love learning. And it never stops, whether you're in high school, college, beyond college, you're an entrepreneur, you've been in this game for 25 years. The questions are going to come from a range of different aspects, and I'm really excited for that. So interns, are you ready to fire away?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Before we do that, they got to know who you are. Let's go down the line. Introduce yourselves. Ryan, you're up first.
I'm Ryan Nagel. I'm from San Diego, California, and I go to school at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh.
Carnegie Mellon. Man. Good school.
Thank you.
Shout out to Coach Helms right there, by the way.
Helms,
Madison,
yes,
you're up.
Sorry, I'm grabbing her. My name's Madison Sharp. I'm from Texas, and I will be graduating from Texas Tech University in just a couple weeks.
Texas
Super
Tech.
Exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are you graduating with a degree in?
Kinesiology.
Kinesiology. And what are your plans?
We're working on that.
Do you have a job yet?
No.
Folks, did you hear that? These interns will be looking for a job. That's why they're here at Fitness Quest 10. We have 5 great people.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But I'm definitely interested in exercise and stuff. So that's why I got this internship, to broaden my horizons.
Lubbock, Texas.
Yes.
Do you love it?
As much as you can.
I love it. A big smile on that. Good. I like it. I like it. Good, Madison. Paige, you're up.
Hi, I'm Paige Johnston, and I've been coming here as a client for I don't even know how long. And then I go to University of Colorado Boulder, and I'm an integrated physiology major.
You're a Buffalo.
Yes.
And what is your major?
Integrated physiology.
Integrated physiology.
Yes.
Wow.
Fancy.
And you've been coming here, you say, for a while. How old are you now?
19.
19. And you probably started when you were, I was going to say like 9?
8, 9.
8, like young, right?
Young.
So she has a wealth of experience here, and now she's over in Colorado making Fitness Quest 10 proud, and it's been great to have you as an intern as they all get ready to graduate. It's part of the great thing about the internship. You get to go on the Impact Show and spread the gospel. Nice. Ben, you're up.
Hi, my name is Ben Staniszewski, and I'm going to be a senior at UW-Madison from Wisconsin.
UW-Madison. Everyone that goes to Madison that I know loves it.
Yeah, it's amazing out there. The atmosphere.
They drink a lot of protein shakes.
Exactly. Yes, sir. We're grinding out there.
I'm like, man, that'd be a fun place to go to school. Can I get a name in all you folks out there listening? Like, has anyone ever met someone from the University of Wisconsin that just doesn't have a great time? I mean, it could be minus 20 and they're like hooting and hollering.
Exactly.
Camp Randall in the fall. Come on, man. Ben, great to have you on the show today, man. Great job. And Gianna, go ahead. Our first ever business/marketing intern as well.
My name is Gianna Mimo. I'm from Dana Point, California, and I am a senior at the University of Arizona. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you came here because of the one and only Lisa Berman referred you over here. Yep. And Lisa's a great friend and mastermind member. And several months ago, she got a great intern for you on the marketing side of things. And Gianna has really been helping Maria and the team with not only the podcast, but she was in the God-Sized Dreams retreat recently, which was the culmination of our God-Sized Dreams program. Has done an amazing job both behind camera and even in front of camera. Now she's on the podcast as she's been working diligently on that. So Gianna, fantastic job this summer.
Thank you.
And as we wrap up, are you ready to go back to Arizona? It's like 130 degrees right now in Arizona.
It comes and goes.
Okay.
I leave when it's hot, and then I go back when it's
Okay.
hot.
So, folks, I hope you're already smiling on this because the youthful wisdom in here is awesome. And they're going to have a chance to ask 1-2 questions, whatever you want to fire away with. It's open mic. So, Ryan, I'm going to start with you. We'll go Carnegie Mellon style. And anything you want to ask, go ahead. Go for it, my man.
I just want to ask, what is the most common mistake you see trainers make with their athletes?
Common mistakes trainers make. Well, it depends on the range of experience, but I'll say young trainers, too much volume. Too much volume. I look back even myself a decade ago, like, man, I worked some of these athletes probably harder than I needed to. Now, that was good on the getting the mental edge, but I think some of the mistakes, I'd say one, too much volume. Also, interesting enough, too quick of a progression. Because like now you've got to be sexy with your moves. Like clients that you're working with sometimes, like especially younger athletes, you got to have some cool moves, right? You feel like you got to have these cool moves. So sometimes the progression, you get away from the fundamentals, the X's and O's of what makes someone great early on versus honing in on the X's and O's of training and on form and technique and mastering the basics before you do a one-legged Bosu stand with 2 medicine balls and you're trying to juggle and do hand-eye coordination at the same time, right? Like, y'all are laughing, but the truth is, slow down the progression. Trust the progression, because to master the fundamentals in anything, by the way, is a really important aspect. I'd say a third thing. I can go off a lot of these, by the way, Ryan. Speed training is not conditioning. I can tell you, especially right now, it's August, how many high school football coaches think that when they're doing speed training, it's just conditioning and making your guys puke. Wrong. Not good. That's not speed training. Speed training is actually breaking down proper form and technique and teaching your men and women, your boys and girls, how to run faster. Yeah, you want to get stronger, more flexible, work on stride frequency and, stride length and all these things. But speed training is not conditioning. Just because you're doing 300-yard shuttles and gassers doesn't mean, we're working on speed. No, you're working on conditioning. You're working on metabolic conditioning on that. Maybe 1 or 2 more. Again, I'm going to go back to not focusing on the fundamentals. I think fundamentals is, you look at training. Let's not make it rocket science or integrated physiology, right? Like, wow, integrated physiology. We've come a long way since 1993. William & Mary, Howard Smith, amen. Howard Smith, push, pull, hinge, hip hinge, squat, rotate, and grip. If I could boil it down to those like fundamental things in a week, how often are we pushing, pulling, hip hinging, squatting, rotating, and doing grip work on that? Let's focus on mastering some of the fundamentals. And then this has nothing to do with training, but I'm going to say it's a common mistake. Not wanting or willing to grind the way that you need to be successful. I don't care training. I don't care if you're a young doctor, a lawyer, you're an entrepreneur. In the training field, what I'm seeing sometimes, not with you guys, because you've done an awesome job. You want to work, you want to be successful, it's going to getting up at early in the morning before people get up and getting up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And heck, I got Travis Barnes, his Journey 333, they start at 4 o'clock a.m. classes. Sometimes you got to work at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So you're going to work weekends. If you want to be successful, you're going to work the other 8 hours. It's not a 9 to 5 job, right? If you get into coaching, any sport, boys or girls, men or women, college, pro, it's going to take above and beyond. So if you're willing to run through a wall, you got 90% of the battle. When I'm interviewing someone, it's like, is this guy or gal willing to run through a wall? Are they willing to do what it takes to really like grind? And beyond that, just 9 to 5, like I don't care what job it is. Most jobs aren't 9 to 5 these days. But as a trainer, I think a common mistake is if you want to be successful, you want to really scale your impact, you got to be willing to grind. So I had 5 there, Ryan. Sorry about that. There's a lot of common mistakes though.
To go back to what you said earlier, where do you see the intensive, like for example, like a heavy back squat, heavy trap bar? Where do you see that fitting in? If you were saying earlier that like people are too worried about the sexy stuff or like lifting super heavy and all that stuff, I know that's still really important. So when do you see it fitting in the program? Like back squatting and that, or the sexy stuff? Like the really heavy movements. Because I mean, it's great on Instagram to see someone squatting 400, 500.
Well, if we're talking, let's talk turkey. If we're going to talk periodization and things like that, if you're doing a 4-day split with NFL athletes, which we just wrapped up our NFL athletes, 4 days a week, you're gotten, 2 lower body days, 2 upper body days. One of those days is going to be heavy volume day. The other day is going to be heavy strength day, not as much volume on the lower body. So you're getting really 2 good days of lower body, and then you have 2 good days of upper body, a high volume day and a high strength day, right? Heavy strength. So to me, that volume, you rest on Wednesdays, you rest on the weekends. You're not doing 6-7 days a week of training, and you're really maximizing recovery as well.
Right.
Yep. Answer your question?
Yeah.
Give you one more. You got one more for you?
One more, yeah.
Yeah, one more. If you got it. If you don't have one, we'll move on to Madison.
Speaking of like the Instagram and the social media presence, do you think trainers really need to focus on their social media presence, or do you think they should just focus on building their client base and other things?
Both.
Both. No.
That's like a Gary Vee answer. No, you know what I would say? I wouldn't say focus heavily on their social media.
Right.
I think I hate the word young trainers. I'll just say new to the field. But I think social media certainly impacts training these days, but there's too many social media trainers that aren't training, that make it look like they're training because they got good bodies or they got cool moves and they look fluid on that. Right. That's not a coach. A coach changes lives from the inside out. So I would say this, it depends on your goals for business. Like if you want to be a great coach or great trainer, train more people. And yes, you can use social media if you allocate your schedule, which I talked about in a recent retreat, allocate your schedule and energy of when you're on social media, not that you're always on it. Because if you're just heavily on social media, you're like, man, I can't put food on the table. I can't make money. Then get off social media and start training more people. Go shake more hands and give more hugs and high fives out in the community. Become a community icon, so that people want to train with you. Because at the end of the day, if you're a trainer, you want to be coaching people, you want to be changing lives, then get out there and do that. So as you grow, I do believe that when I say grow, maybe you want to write a book someday, maybe you want to have a podcast someday, then guess what? You do need to build an audience. So I'd say, yeah, you should use social media to promote the studio or business you work for, or whatever the brand, to help that, because it's a two-way street. And then at some point, as you build your network and your community of people, your social media will allow you to scale your quote impact, right, on that. So I just wouldn't say heavily on it. Right? Like, man, I got to be on all of them. I got to be on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, podcasting. You're like, man, you get overwhelmed. It creates anxiety, as if we didn't have enough anxiety, especially you guys, right? You're studying, you got school, you got internships, you got all this stuff. It's like anxiety is killing people your age, literally. So I'd say allocate a certain amount of time and energy to it. Is that cool? Good answer? Nice questions, Ryan. Let me flip over to Madison. Let's go to Madison, over in Texas.
Oh, yeah. So in the industry of coaching, whether it's health coaching, training coaching, lifestyle coaching, stuff like that, it's very important to maintain a positive mindset for the clients, correct?
Right, yep.
So for you, what is something you do every day to make sure you're bringing the best to the table and being as positive and motivational to your clients as possible?
Well, I'm going to go with a different answer. I'm not going to go with the answer that everyone would probably think, because you guys listen to this podcast all the time. I'm not going to say my morning routine and get into the word and journal and work out, because I say that all the time. What I'm going to say, as far as little hacks that you can do to stay motivated, is this. Find work that matters. Okay. Find work that matters. Do something that you know is going to make a difference, because ultimately that's going to be your fuel. When you're doing work that matters, that's going to get you up in the morning. I do have my morning routine. I do get in the work. I do work out. I do try to eat right. I have my habits. Cool. Awesome. That just becomes a lifestyle. I think when it comes to little hacks on a regular basis, you got to make sure that you're doing work that matters. Is this podcast right now we're doing going to matter? Did Brandon show up today here because he knows this podcast is going to matter? Is Maria, who's been driving the podcast last several months, is she coming here because she's got a job, or because this podcast is going to matter? My hope is that when we're showing up, the reason why I do the podcast, why you do what you do, is because when you find work that matters, that's going to give you the motivation, the fuel. The difference between motivation's in the head, inspiration's in the heart. When you find work that inspires you because you know it's impacting others, that provides jet fuel that's going to help you do what you do.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Going off of that kind of, what was there a turning point in your life, or was there a gradual buildup of things that made you realize that this is what inspires you and this is what matters to you as a career? Like, I know you were on Strong, you were an athlete and stuff like that.
You said were or am?
Am.
Yeah. Y'all laughing at that. I see you out there. You just picked up the pace. Keep going.
But like, what essentially made you say this rocks? Like, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Let me ask you a question. Are you searching for that right now? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like, is there like this light bulb moment, right? I would say there wasn't.
There was not.
There wasn't a light bulb moment where like, oh, training's my thing.
Right.
It wasn't that way. Okay. It actually was very gradual. It was gradual progressions of, guys, when I was in grad school, I had about 5 jobs at the same time, and I realized I didn't want to be an athletic trainer, an ATC, taping ankles. I did that for 2 years at the University of San Diego. I was like, I don't like this. But I did it, and it was part of weeding out when I was 27. Like, I don't like this. And as I started to teach at a place called Cuyamaca College as an adjunct faculty at 28, I'm like, I really like teaching coaching. I could be a professor. This would be really cool. But I was doing massage therapy and flipping my mattress up in my bedroom literally before I had a business. And I was like, I really like doing body work and massage and rolfing and this. I like this. I was training some folks on the side. I really like the training part. I believe it was the gradual progression of finding things that I really enjoyed to do. And then at the same time, having jobs that I didn't like to do. I was an athletic trainer doing the girls softball team, and I'm out there on Saturday nights. I'm like, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm at the girls softball game. I'm like, I just don't see myself doing this. Like, and not that I don't like girls softball. I'm like, I just don't. This isn't me. This isn't what's going to really like fire me up. Now I love training those softball players. Right? I didn't like sitting in the dugout and waiting for someone to get hurt or having to pump water into their face. On that, but no, that's the truth. I think it was more of a gradual buildup, and the awareness was that I really like helping people. How can I help the most amount of people? Okay. That was it. So as you guys get jobs, internships, you're gonna think like there's this light bulb moment, like, oh, I want to open a business, or oh, I want to get a training. Get jobs. Get a job. You're going to find out what you like and what you don't like. You're going to find where you want to potentially, get into a niche or not have a niche. And as you like this, you like fascial stretch therapy or massage therapy or body work, or you like doing speed training, or you like working with athletes, or I really like working with, the senior population because they're broken down. They need a lot of help. Whatever it is, by getting experience. Gian on the marketing side is you've been exposed to a lot in a little time in that less than 90 days. All the different things that we got going on. She's drinking out of a fire hose we got retreats coming up. Y'all recently just heard, we've got this shift retreat coming up, and she's on the sales page for the shift retreat and the God-Sized Dreams program. And we got our social media and podcasts. You're drinking out of fire. It's like, what do I like? And I just told you the other day of like, man, you're really skilled behind a camera and spitting out some of the content assets that we have. Get jobs, get experience. My entire 20s, I know you don't want to hear this. My entire 20s was trying to figure out what I wanted. Now, let me tell you something else. This is the game I played when I was in my early to mid 20s. But my buddies in Wall Street making big money, and here I don't even really have a job. I'm like trying to figure out what I want. They're already ahead. So you get that's just head trash. Don't play the game of what your buddies are doing and like they're making X amount of dollars on Wall Street, or run your race. Do your thing and just stay aligned to what really is going to drive your purpose. And to me, that's going to take gradual steps. And then when you find what you love to do, double down on it. Okay. Good?
Love it.
Awesome. Paige, you're up.
All right.
What you got, Paige?
So one of my questions is, if you had any advice for young adults in the fitness industry, what would it be?
Any advice for young fit pros, huh? In what ways? On the business side, or on what side would you say?
Like training, just wanting to get into the fitness world.
Mm-hmm. I would say a few things when it comes to experience. Number one, I would say get a mentor, get a coach. do internships like this, right? Like this has helped. You get the job again. And as far as advice, keep learning. Learning never stops. Like even in college, you're going to learn probably more in internships and hands-on practical experience. Get your degree. And then when you get your degree, you're like, okay, how do I keep learning? It's not like you get your degree and it stops. Like even now, I'm like, how do I learn whatever I need to learn on marketing side or digital media or scaling or marketing, or sometimes like, man, I want to learn the latest bodywork techniques. Learning never stops. Special announcement. Pay attention, please. Huge breaking news out of the Todd Durkin Impact Show headquarters here in San Diego. I just announced the biggest and best retreat of all time is coming up this October, called the Shift Retreat. October 20th to the 23rd. If you are ready for a major shift in your life, in your business, in your career, in your relationships, in your health, in your mindset, you're going to want to be one of the 100 people or so in the room. We only have a limited number of seats, and podcast listeners, today is the day to take a look at the Shift Retreat. When you go to todddurkin.com, click on the button for the Shift Retreat, you'll get all of the information so that you can sign up and be one of the lucky ones in the room. I talk about all the time how important it is to be in the room. When you're live in the room, in person, magical things will happen. Take a look today and be part of my first Shift Retreat right here in beautiful San Diego, California, October 20th to the 23rd of 2022. So until next time, I want you to keep training hard, keep beating right, live inspired, and remember, keep shifting, because after all, shift happens. Next one.
All right.
I like that though. It's a good question.
So because you've been in the training industry for so long, what's your favorite story that you've had?
Oh, snap. Favorite training story? Is that what
Just favorite story.
Favorite story. I'll go back a little bit. And because this is how I really got started, it started with a broken table. When I opened Fitness Quest 10, there was a guy named Vaughn Parker, who was a left tackle for the San Diego Chargers. I said, folks, yes, they used to be in San Diego. I would say, hey, the reason why it's one of my favorites is because it's literally when I was doing a massage session on Vaughn Parker, that table broke. And when that table broke, and for 45 minutes, I'm on the floor doing Thai massage techniques that I just watched a VHS tape on Thai massage. Y'all know what VHS tapes are, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just checking. Want to make sure. Cool. That got me into the San Diego Chargers because he loved to work so much. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing on this because my table was broken. You figure it out. When your table breaks, you figure out. When something goes wrong, you figure it out. And I think my intent behind my touch allowed him to see some of the skill sets that I had developed, and I'd spent over 5 years trying to overcome my back pain. The reason I say that's one of my favorite stories is because that got me into work with the San Diego Chargers. That gave me the start. That also brought LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees in here, who brought so-and-so in, and that was the catalyst for that. I'll tell you one more favorite story before Fitness Quest 10. I don't know if I shared this story, but a guy that brought me out to the West Coast from New Jersey after my back injury was named Michael King. Michael King produced Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, if you don't know Oprah Winfrey, she's pretty famous. Oprah, if you're listening, we get you on the show here next month here. But Michael King, when I was training him in Malibu, he was selling his company, King World. So they're producing Oprah, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy. And Michael King was talking to me as I'm a business consultant. I'm like a 26, 27-year-old guy who doesn't know anything about business. And he's asking me, hey, Todd, I got this opportunity to sell my company for $2 billion. Should I do it? And I'm like, $2 billion? Sell it. Sell $2 billion. He sold King World for $2 billion to CBS. And I'm thinking, man, that's crazy. I I was just part of a $2 billion transaction. The reason that is Michael King gave me my start when I literally came out to the West Coast and worked up there in Malibu before I came down here to go to grad school, met my wife, opened Fitness Quest 10. And I would say those are some old throwback stories that I'd say are some of my favorite stories. I've got a lot of stories, but I'm not going to share all of them today. I can say this. I read every darn email and DM that comes in my inbox, and those stories are what keeps me going. Mm-hmm. So when someone tells me they got some stuff they've been dealing with up top in their head, or they're dealing with depression or suicidal ideologies and that they listen to a podcast, this podcast, they read a social media post, or they got some glimpse of a mentality. To me, that's what keeps me going, and those are the stories that really no one knows about that I really, really love the most.
All right, great. Thank you. And then I have one more. What was it like filming Strong?
That could be a different episode altogether. So those of you that don't know, 2016, 2017, I was on a show called Strong, NBC and Netflix. Paige, you were part of that whole thing because you were here, right, when that was happening. But the hardest part, I guess, sometimes you're going to get a dream in life, and the dream's going to be really, really big. And you have to do things that you don't even know if you should do because you don't even know if it's the right thing to do. Filming Strong, I had to leave my family and my business for 90 days. No contact, no phone. When you're on a reality show, you don't have a phone, you don't have contact with your family. And that was really, really difficult because I'm a family guy, but I knew that God was calling me to a different challenge. I needed a challenge at that point in my career that was bigger than what I had been doing because I had already achieved a certain level of, quote, success. But I had 42 employees. I was gone for 3 months. And I think that from that standpoint, it was hard. But the other thing that was crazy were the physical challenges. I think I'm still feeling the challenges, my back, my knee. But there's nothing like being challenged physically and really realizing how strong you are mentally when you're challenged physically. And I wouldn't take any of that back. I'd say losing. You don't always remember the wins, but I remember losing and being so ticked off driving home. I was like, this is BS. I can't believe we lost. And I drove back, and fortunately I got called back up. And we those of you that didn't get a chance to see it, my first partner, Devin, I lost in week 3, came back week 5. We ran all the way to the finals in a $500,000 challenge. We ended up losing in the finals. But it wasn't necessarily about losing. What Strong taught me was there's going to be times in your life when your dreams are challenged and you got to go for it. You got to give up almost everything you got and say, you know what, this is something no one's going to understand. I got to do this. And ultimately, I prayed a lot about that. And that experience on Strong was really, really special. Thanks for asking, Paige. Yeah. Ben, what do you got? What you got, Ben?
All right. So the first question I got is, do you see technology playing a bigger role for personal training and coaching in the future? And if so, how?
I answer it 2 ways, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of technology has evolved since the pandemic, crazy, like it's, no doubt about it. How? Biomechanics. Just the other day when I was wrapping up our football guys going to camp, we're out there with phones that with a software and app on the field, we're showing them hip angles, shoulder angles, amount of torsion and rotation in the hips. So I think biomechanics for sports performance will continue to evolve, especially in athlete performance. I think monitoring biometrics for the Gen Pop is going to be continue to be more and more popular. You think about things now like you got Oura rings and Whoop bands, and you always hear me talk about MyZone belt. Like these are things I use biometrically to say, where am I at? Where's my heart rate at? How's my recovery? How's my sleep? So I think that gives us good data and feedback on the technology side. I also think sometimes we get so technological that we train like robots and we got to loosen up. And that was the other portion of that is the recovery side. Technology is evolving on the recovery side, and I really, really am fascinated. I'm actually on this little quest myself of really trying to figure out the best way to recover. I'm enamored with recovery strategies and techniques, including using using some technology. When I say technology, I'm talking everything from not only infrared saunas, but red light therapy, which I have a red light therapy wall in my home that I use. Vibrational therapy, when you look at companies that are behind vibrational therapy and massage guns and all of these aspects, how do you best use them as part of your everyday routine? So to answer your question, I think technology will play a bigger role. Think about streaming workouts and the amount of companies that have prospered and grown through the last 2.5 years since the pandemic with streaming workouts, videos, technologies, meditations, all of the things. Much of that's on our phone, and our phone could be our biggest blessing and our biggest curse. So how do we also get off the phone and we just get out in nature, get away from technology, so we're not having I'm on my phone when I'm going to the bathroom, when I'm between meetings, you're always on your phone. Yeah. And I'm no different. So it's like, I love when I get out in the mountains and just disconnect. And I think that's part of it as well. Good question.
Cool. And everyone always sees that you're always on the go and moving. So how do you personally prevent burnout and all that?
Time off. Time off. When it comes to burnout, and I've talked about this on the podcast the last several months, but time off is important. Schedule your time off. Last I checked about someone complaining they had too much time off was never, right? We all need more time off because we're all on the go all the time. We're on all the time, right? We're getting text and DM'd and emails, and we're trying to conquer the world. So to me, I've really, in the last decade, specifically the last 2 years, was trying to allocate more time off for energy. I also think, back to the previous questions, you got to do work you love, because doing work you love will help prevent burnout, because burnout is just, you're on all the time, you're constantly doing, even if you're doing work that you love, you got to take time off. And how about just not always consuming? We're always consuming content, information. Is that constant, burnout is just you're consuming all the time. Our minds need a rest. And I think that's important to decrease what's on your plate. So my question to our listeners right now would be this: what roles do you play in life that you could potentially eliminate? Because we have, 8, 9, 10, 12 roles. And if you're a parent, you got more than that. And, you're involved in your community, but maybe it's doing less and going deeper. Maybe you need to eliminate a few roles and go deeper on that. But I would say that. And if you're like me and you got big dreams, that's where the whole growing your team comes into play. So you don't have to do everything all the time, right? I've learned that, but growing your team is another aspect to help prevent burnout. So you're not doing everything all the time. That takes some investment of time, energy, and money to do that. But I think those are all things that could help prevent burnout.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Gianna, how about you?
My first question, what did you want to achieve when starting Fitness Quest 10, and have those goals changed over time?
My goal in the beginning was survive. Make it. Just survive. Pay the bills. First 90 days, I didn't have rent. And that was really big not to have rent, because I had no clients, no money, no business plan. I basically fooled the landlord into giving me a lease, because I think I told him I was a physical therapist, or he didn't understand what I did, because at that time in late 1999, the fact of having a 2,000 square foot studio where people didn't pay a membership made no sense to anybody. It was, I only make money if I'm training people. A different model back then. Now that's common. But it was about survive. But through that, when you say starting Fitness Quest 10 and have the goals changed, my goal really, what I found out, was not just to survive, but to help people. And by helping people, you also discover what your passion and purpose is as well. So I would say this: has my goal changed? No. Help people. Has it evolved? Yes. And that's in the beginning, it was get 10 clients. And then it was from 10 clients to, get 50 clients. And then, oh shoot, I'm so busy, I can't even, I had on the hour every hour for 12, 13 hours a day, starting at 6 a.m. and going until 7 p.m. without a break. I had to bring on another trainer. So I started bringing on other trainers on that. Now, goals same thing. How can I help the most amount of people? In my mind, I think, how can I scale my message? How can we use a podcast to reach more people around the globe? We have people listening in, I don't even know, it's like 50 something countries, but it's really about how can we be more structured and sophisticated in our approach to help more people. And I think even the landscape of fitness has changed. Back in the beginning, our biggest stressors were Y2K, right? And then 9/11 happened in in September 11th, 2001, right? And then it's 2001, right? Yeah, it's crazy because I was a year in the business, 9/11. And then we had 2 really bad sets of fires in our community here in Scripps Ranch, part of San Diego. Those were the big stressors. I remember 9/11, man, it's crazy. Just now, I think the stressors are intense. Life's more complicated now, 22 years later. It's not less complicated. It was much simpler back then. Stress is at an all-time high, right, for everybody, including y'all as students. Like, well, all this stress, like, how do you get started? And there's lots of demands on all of us and that. So it goes back to, how do you simplify life? Kids, even my kids, a little bit younger than you, well, some of them, there's social pressure, peer pressures, finding a purpose, and then you look at just the overall aspect of the world is divided, and divisiveness causes stress and anxiety. So it comes full circle. It comes full circle to this. How can we simplify our lives and live our deepest purpose and find happiness? Mm-hmm. Because I think back in year 2000, I was stressed. I was like, man, I loved what I was doing, but I was like, I had to pay the bills. Now it's a lot of stress right out there. It comes back to, how can I serve more people? How can I laugh more? How can I love more? And how can I live more? I actually kind of like that. Laugh, love, live. Laugh, love, live. Laugh more, love more, live more. If we can really focus on that and not get, so stressed out about everything, life's going to be happier. Good question, Gianna. How about another one?
Coming from the business and marketing side and witnessing the God-Sized Dream program when they all came here as like a retreat, how did you come up with the idea to create programs like that?
So the God-Sized Dreams program, impact, certification, all these things are from people that are listening right now, questions coming in, people who want, they'll DM me or they'll email me, or I'll meet them at a conference and they'll ask me a question. I'm like, that's a good idea. And I always say this, if one person has a question, then 1,000 people have the same question. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the programs that have evolved over the years come from people's questions that I have conversations with. So, that goes back 2002. Don't laugh, folks. But if you were watching the DVD, my optimal performance bodywork, when I was doing a lot of bodywork, that stemmed from my background as a body worker and trainer and coach, but people wanted to learn some techniques. So I created a DVD series. 2007, when I started the mastermind group for Fit Pros, that's 15 years ago. We're going to have our 15th anniversary of our mastermind at the Shift Retreat coming up here in October 20th to 23rd. The reason I share that is because 15 years ago when the mastermind started, that was the idea of, how do we get collective-minded people in a room, and instead of feeling like you're on an island by yourself, really take a group of people, get inspired, and actually exponentially grow the impact that we can have. That started in 2007, and now we've got hundreds of passionate Fit Pros from all over the world inside of there, and that has evolved. Impact coaching in 2021 during the pandemic, the certification, God-Sized Dreams, part of it was listening, and part of it was also, as I've listened, my own purpose has deepened, and as I've prayed more about life's purpose for me, like what can I do to be, to live with maximum purpose. It's the God-Sized Dreams program was really the stemming of just, how do I go deeper and help more people with where they're at? People are lost, empty, broken. They need a shift in energy. They're feeling stuck. Their relationships might not be where they want them, or they're searching and they feel like they're more than that. And all of the programs that have come out over 25 years or so have come from a congruence between people asking for it, but also it aligning with where I'm at with my walk and can I deliver on the things that are being asked. So I think the common denominator is, can this change lives? If so, the investment for us to do the podcasts are free. I'm like, can this podcast change a life? If so, let's figure out a way. Brandon, Maria, Julie, team, can we make this happen? Right? Mm-hmm. So will it change a life? And some of the stories I know and some of them I don't. The ones I don't know, I want to hear from people. Like, I love hearing from new people who I've never met. And they're like, hey, I've been listening to the show, or I follow your social media and my life has been changed. So to me, to answer your question on that, don't be afraid to take risk. You got to take a risk. Got to take chances, and if it doesn't work out, then change. Mm-hmm. And change. Like if this fails, then stop it. Because most people don't even take a risk because they're like, what if it doesn't work out? Forget it. What if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? Or as you have, what if it succeeds? What if it fails? What if it succeeds? I was like, what if it succeeds? What if it grows? Go for it. Versus, what if it fails? Who cares? Next. Because people are in their own world anyway. It's on next one and the iterations. Guys, I've had failures in business too. 2016, I had this new streaming platform called FitBlock. A streaming platform in 2016. Guys, if it happened in 2020, I probably would be sitting on a beach in Bora Bora right now, right? But it was 4 years before its time, and a lot of money went into that. It failed. Or it just wasn't the right time. You learn from it, you move on, you go. Yeah. Right? So, good. All right, let me open it up. Final questions. Good stuff on this. Who wants to ask the first question? Ryan, I'll leave it with you.
I remember you mentioned comparing yourself to your buddies on Wall Street who are really successful. I'm kind of running into the same thing at Carnegie Mellon, so I just want to ask, what piece of advice do you have in that kind of situation?
Run your own race. Carnegie Mellon's a great school. You got people probably working at Disney. You got them up at Apple. You got them at Google, Amazon. And you're like, man, I don't know where I'm going to end up. Just run your own race and stop comparing yourself to everyone else. Because guess what? You don't even know what's going on in their minds anyway. All these people that you think are all successful and making good money, they might be making good money. And hopefully they're happy. But there's a lot of people that have a lot of battles that you don't see. So you keep reaching out and serving them and keep asking yourself, where will this job or this internship get me in 3 years or 5 years from now? And stay with your head with blinders on like a thoroughbred and do what you got to do to get to where you want to go. So let's say you want to be a college or pro strength coach. You're going to have to grind for 3 to 5 years. You're going to have to go work and sleep on cots in locker rooms sometimes, and it's going to stink. Actually, you're going to look back someday and be like, those are the happiest times of my life. When you had nothing and you had to eat ramen noodles and figure it out. No, I'm serious. Like, those will be the happiest times. When you're going through it, it sucks. You're like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. When you look back, you're like, whew, man, it was simple. But you got to do that. And next thing you know, they're like, man, I got a buddy right now, Dave Feely. He's a strength coach at Duke, and he's been all over the place. He was a teacher in high school, and he loved it. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to go in a different route. He's had like 9 different strength coach jobs all over the country in big time college football. Just left Miami. He's at Duke now. And when you look back in the beginning of his career, getting started as an intern after getting a job as a teacher coach in high school, he had to grind for several years. Sweeping the floors late at night and sleeping in cots, all these things. Like, it's not easy. Run your own race. Run your own race. Next up, Madison. Final question. What do you got?
All right.
Something good.
I gotcha. Hopefully. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm graduating from college soon. So, I was wondering if you could give one tip to a recent or upcoming college graduate, or anyone, frankly, that's trying to get into the lifestyle / health and wellness coaching business, what would it be? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One tip, multiple tips.
Greetings, graduates from Texas Tech University.
Thank you.
How many, like 10,000 people are graduating? Here's what I would say to all of them, not just you, but I would say this is get a job. Get started. Get started, right? Get started. And the first job you take, probably not going to be your last job you're going to take. Get experience. That's really important. Keep having mentors for the rest of your life. Have a mentor. And
by mentors, can you dive in a little bit on that for me? Because I know, like, finding someone to give you advice and like lead you the right path.
Someone who's doing what you want to do is doing it, has done it, and doing it well right now.
Okay.
And it could be in different aspects of your life. But if you want to get into fitness, or you want to be a business owner, or you want to be social media, whatever it is, find someone that's doing it and invest in every program that they have. And I'm not saying invest in like watching their social media, which isn't a mentor. Like we have people who follow me on social media, but I'm not really mentoring them at the level they really change their life. Okay. I'm talking invest in their programs where you're going to show up, or invest in their coaching program and attend the live retreat that they have, and do what they say. And it might be in your faith walk, it might be in business, it might be in training, it might be in meditation. Find people who are doing what you want to do and watch them and study them. Don't try to be them.
Right. Just
learn from them, because the people who I mentor and coach, I'm like, you don't want to be me and you don't want to do what I do. Because you don't, anyone, by the way, I'm not just saying me, anyone, like run your race again and learn from what's going good, take what's bad on that, and then just keep committing to intense learning. Okay. Intense learning. It's not going to stop. But right now, you guys are at beautiful ages to continue to learn and grow and journal what you're writing and learning, because you'll look back in a couple of years like, man, that when I was at Fitness Quest 10 and I had to grind and I was sweeping floors and picking up puke and it was that bad, but all the things. That's going to set you apart for what you do someday. And I'll say this for everybody, and I don't know whether listening in, I would tell this to my kids, and I do tell this to my kids, is don't be afraid to stand out and be different. Don't be afraid to stand and be different. You don't have to conform to what the world is doing. You have to conform what this industry is doing. Figure out what your top gifts are and really maniacally focus on how can I exploit them. Because there's going to be your head is like, man, who's going to follow me? Who's going to do that? But there's people who will follow you if you have the audacity and the courage to really, really be the most genuine you possible. But we get in the headdressers like, nah, I can't do that. What if they knew that? And you're like, you're kind of running this, you're teeter-tottering on mediocrity. Right. Not a good place. So run your race and don't be afraid to stand out and be different.
Okay, I like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Paige.
So where do you see the fitness industry going in 15 years?
Ooh, man. 15 years? 15 years. It's funny about when you ask that question is I think back 15 years ago and how different the fitness industry is now than 15 years ago, right? Like 15 years nowadays is a long time, because you think about it is, like 5 years from now, where's this industry going to be, right? Where's it going to be in 5 years from now? Man, I would say this. Where's it going to be? Recovery's going to be bigger. Recovery's going to be bigger because the amount of stress, depression, anxiety that all people, not only kids, not only adults, grandmas, grandpas, everyone deals with now, it's going to be a great opportunity. I do believe that technology will play a bigger role in the years to come, and I think there's an interesting relationship that happens between stress and technology too on this. I'm actually writing a book called What's Next. So without me divulging everything that's in there, it's actually coming out in October. And the book, it's coming out October 10th, 10/10. That's my favorite date, 10/10. It's called What's Next in the fitness industry, because I do have some very interesting thoughts about not just the next 5 to 15 years, but even the next couple of years, because as we go into an interesting time in our economic times, when we look at economic times, worldly times, how do we as coaches and trainers really focus on changing lives from the inside out? Because if we get so ballyhooed about there's going to be a recession, how big is the recession going to be? Oh my God, inflation's here, should I open my business or not? All of this stuff that you start doing versus go internal and think about what are my gifts, how can I serve people? And when you look at the trends that are happening, how can you be a trend setter, not just a trend follower? And I've got about 15 trends that I'm going to share in that book. And I've got about 25 of my closest fitness leaders and friends that will be actually collaborating with me on this book. So I'll preface it by saying that. Folks, get ready to read another book. Yes, What's Next coming up in October. If you're just hearing about it now for the first time, but that's one of the things I've been working about, because one of the common questions I get is, what's next? What do I do? The one place you don't want to be is in idle kind of like waiting to see what's going to happen. I'll just hang out and see what's going to happen. I'm going to say, maybe now is a great time to write a book. Maybe right now is a great time to do a podcast or create a podcast. Maybe right now is a great time to really say, I'm going to take my book of 5 to 10 clients and I'm going to do 20 to 30 clients. I'm going to get more clients and double my book and really focus on getting some money in the bank so that when the economic time happens that you can start really putting away and maybe buy your first home, or maybe someday in your mid to late 20s you can maybe buy a rental home and start to build some wealth. And when I say that, when you start reading the books that's on my recommended reading list, you'll see how when I read that book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, that changed my life when I started thinking about, hey, real estate. How do I get in real estate at a young age? And doing those things that maybe when you're 40 or 50 and you think that's old, it's not. It happens like that. Next thing you know, you're in a different situation. So Dave Ramsey has a great book called The Everyday, the Baby Steps Millionaire, I think it's called, how you could be making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year in a job, and you could be a millionaire in 20 years if you have the discipline to do what's necessary on that. So I would say that. Paige, I know it's a long answer, but what's next? You can read all about it starting in October. Yep, Ben.
Okay, my final question is, what was your secret to getting clients and kickstarting your own business, and how do you keep a constant flow of clients coming in for any other business owners?
The secret, I wouldn't say there's a secret. I would say that if there's anything, what I would say is treat all people right. Treat everyone right. Because communities are small and they talk, especially now. People need communities. Treat everyone right. And I would say everybody, I'm saying someone who's not going to be a client, someone who can do you absolutely no good. How do you treat them? I think it's really important. I'd say don't be shy telling people your story. Don't be shy telling people your story, especially if you have some tough stuff in your story. Whether it's the family you come from, I always say it, and I was very shy in my 20s sharing. I was embarrassed to say that my parents were divorced. I hated saying it. I was like, man, I have the ideal family. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. I have 5 sisters. My parents got divorced when I was 5. And actually, I realize now as a dad and as a family man, it's one of my biggest blessings. Going through that and seeing my mom's love and perseverance for us kids and having to raise 8 kids, let me tell you what, the heart side of me is from my mom. The grind side of me, I'd say, is from my dad. But I think share your story, I think, is a really important aspect, and don't have an excuse of why you don't share your story. Like, you got to find a way. And then as far as building your business, do good work, and then ask for referrals. A lot of people, I don't care if you've been in it for 20 years, don't ask for referrals. Like, you guys, you always hear me on the podcast, they'll hear me say, hey, if you like today's show, please tell a friend. That's asking for a referral. Share the story. Because if you do good work, and I say good work, I'm talking you change lives. When you just get enamored with changing people's lives, then the word's gonna spread. And I believe nowadays training, coaching, life transforming goes beyond the 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day or week that someone would come in and work with you in the gym. It happens on the text, on the cell phone, on a video, on a crazy, you know, I did 3 of those today because I know 3 people in my life right now are struggling, and they left, they sent back crazy videos back. Pick people up all the time. Pick them up. When you serve enough people, it'll come back tenfold. Good, Ben.
Cool. Thank you.
Question, Gianna? Actually, yeah. Do you have a final question, or what do you got?
I don't really have any questions left, but I just want to say, being the only intern from the business and marketing side, it's been such a fun and crazy experience, just learning how much you put into the gym and all your programs, and just being a part of that and being part of the team has been really fun, and I've learned a lot.
Thank you, Gianna. Thank you. That's cool. You know what? I'll say this, and it's funny. I wrote in my decree in life, my first book, The Impact Life Plan, I call it decree. Page 20, there's a decree. You write a decree, and that's your life statement. And if I can share one thing, could you write, as our final project here, I encourage you, and I'm not going to look at it, I'm not going to grade it, but write a decree for your life. And you write a decree as if you're 20 to 25 years down the road, but you write it as if you're going to already have done it. I'm so happy and grateful now that. Paint your picture for your life. What is it going to be? Because when you're my age in 20, 25 years from now, or 30, 35 years from now, I'm doing the math. I'm like, dang, you guys are young. Is you're going to look back. You're like, man, I was 19, 20, 21 years old, and I wrote this decree, and now I'm 50. And you'll look back, you're like, wow, how much of it's come true? Or something that happened took you down a detour. At the time, it was the toughest time of your life, and you had to deal with some really, really heavy stuff. But how that became the biggest blessing of your whole life, right? Mm-hmm. So thank you for that, Gianna. And I say thank you to all of you for that, because there's different chapters and stories of your life. And you're at a beautiful chapter right now. You're in this total discovery mode of where you're going to go, what you want to do. Just keep plugging into your gut and your heart. Like, what does your heart say? What does your gut say? I know what your head's going to say, and you're going to follow you do your pluses and minuses and all that stuff. But just make sure you follow that gut. And I do believe when you do that, great things are going to happen. Any final points from any of you? Any final thoughts? You got that great job, Gianna. Ben?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, for all this coming out here. It's been a blessing, and been enjoying everything, and just seeing everyone doing hard work. It's a grind out here. I love
What's your favorite part?
Just the community out here. Everyone's so welcoming out here. So I love it in the Midwest, and I don't know what I was expecting, but nothing different out here. I love it. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Nice.
And I wanted to touch on that as well. I just want to say you have built an incredible business, and it's so fascinating to see a clientele speak so highly of the business as a whole. Like, every day, I didn't know what to expect when I came in here. Same thing he said. But what I was not expecting was just the community, like he said, and the friendliness of everyone, and the gratefulness of people that are here training. Like, people want to be here because the trainers, they're so personable, motivating, friendly. Like, it's almost like the trainers, they come out here, or the clients come out here to hang out with their trainer, and they get a good workout, and they have a community. It's just so fascinating to watch. Yeah. And I give you so much credit for the business you've built. I know it was a team effort. Yeah, totally. But it's super cool to watch, and it's inspiring as someone who is going into this business hopefully one day to have such a good example. Wow. To start with. Thank you, Madison. That is awesome. I appreciate that. And I mean all of that. I'm so grateful to be here. Me too. Especially after the last couple of years, because that's one of the hardest times of my life, because you think sometimes it's harder in the beginning, and the last couple of years have been tough as heck, and you guys have all touched upon community. But I need this community as much as they do. This community, this podcast that reaches out, Fitness Quest 10, my heart soars when I'm training my athletes, or when I'm doing these podcasts and I hear back. And I just had Dr. Clay Whiting, who was a guest on a previous podcast, stop in here and brought his daughter and a family friend in here. And I'm like, they listen to every episode. And to me, the community, it's all about people. It's all about people. And that I've been blessed that we have a great team, and that we've gotten through some tough times. And if there's ever been a time we've needed to lean in on each other, all of us in this world, it's now. So thank you for recognizing that. Awesome. Paige?
I honestly just want to say thank you. I have been a part of Fitness Quest for a really long time now, and honestly seeing the different side to it, the other aspect of the training side, where I've been a client for so long, has been really cool and really cool experience. So thank you for that.
That's cool. You remind me of Kira, Coach Kira. She started as a young girl, and then went to college, and then trained with us for a long time, and now she's making dreams come true at Disney. Yeah. But I trained with her. I know you did, and I love seeing people kind of come up all the way through, and whether it be at FQ10 TDE, Maria here, she trained, still does for 20-something years. Right, and now she's working with us, so it's good to see what you're doing on that page. Thank you. Ryan, any final thoughts, words?
I just want to say thank you again. I've never been a part of a gym where every single client knows everyone, and it's honestly because of the active work of the trainers who are trying to introduce everyone. You kind of see how like everyone is related in some way, and their training style is related, or what they've gone through in their life is related, and everyone can just kind of connect and support each other.
Yeah.
It seems like whenever someone's lifting, there's like 3 or 4 people who are always like commenting like, "Oh, you got it, get it up," like whatever, etc. So I've never really been a part of the gym. It's kind of like in gyms I've been in the past, it's kind of like each trainer is separate with their client, and they kind of like don't have any like crossover interacting. It's less of like a positive, uplifting community.
Love it, love it, love it. You ever heard of a TV show called Cheers? Anyone? No?
Maybe.
Okay, your job, the homework before the degree is to YouTube Cheers. Okay, because we model our gym after that TV show called Cheers, and y'all are laughing out there listening because these folks have not heard of Cheers on that, but it's where everyone knows your name and everyone feels special and everyone goes, and that's what we do with what we do. So thank you for recognizing that, Ryan, and know this: that you got a blank canvas as you leave here. Is that you're part of our family. When you go and you spread your wings, there's a blank canvas. Whatever you want to create in this world, you go create it. In fitness, in sport performance, in life coaching, in marketing, business. I hope that's something that either that I said, or Jeff, or anyone on the leadership team, or trainers, coaches, or a client or member who I've learned a lot from said something to you that leaves everlasting impact, because it really is a blank canvas. And sometimes when you're in the weeds, you forget that. But when you leave here, make sure you have all your lessons, apply that to the next step. And until our paths meet again, I say thank you to all you guys. Good stuff. Break it on down, baby. Impact on 3. 1, 2, 3. Impact.